The Movies of the Meek, where we watch made-for-TV movies and miniseries so you don't have to. From Gia to Xenon, Hysteria to Sybil, welcome to Movies of the Meek.
Sabrina Down Under is the 1999 made-for-TV movie, which is the sequel to Sabrina Goes to Rome. It stars Melissa Joan Hart, and it is about Sabrina the Teenage Witch with her friend Gwen, who she meets when she goes to Rome. They go on a vacation to Down Under, okay? And when she's there, she just so happens to meet a bunch of merfolk, which are being infected with this disease. And so she meets a marine biologist that's there, and she's like, hey, I want you to help cure these mermaids. She doesn't tell him that it's secret, of course. And he finds out that they're mer people and decides that he wants to kidnap them.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the intro. Let's just go. Let's go in chronological order.
Okay.
because right off the bat,
yeah,
it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
From what I remember, there's some kind of music, some kind of like crazy music going on in this intro.
So that's one of my first notes. So in 1999, okay, the movie Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me came out and took America by storm, okay, and they took the song from that, which is "Beautiful Stranger" by Madonna, and that was the original opening song for this movie. But because they don't have the rights to it anymore, they had to fucking can it for the version that we saw, okay, which is also amazing because later on when she fucking goes underwater and she's swimming with Gwen and all that dumb shit is happening and there's that terrible rock music playing, that was also originally a version of Octopus's Garden sung by fucking Melissa Joan Hart.
I'd like to be under the sea.
That was not in the movie, though.
That was not in the movie, though. But how sick would that have been?
That would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing.
It was just generic music.
Yeah.
I did like not the scenes where they played an actual song, but I did like the actual score of the movie. I thought it was very fun and playful.
It was very fun and playful. Agreed. Yeah.
All right, so she goes to Australia.
Yeah.
On vacation.
Yeah.
And because she has a passion for marine biology,
and she thinks she wants to be a marine biologist.
Is that in the show? Is that
no?
So. Because I was wondering, I was like, I don't ever remember her being into this stuff when I watched the TV show.
She was not.
So they made her that way for this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, but she's very knowledgeable about the fish, and she
read that book.
Because she meets Dr. Martin. Yeah. As soon as she lands.
Yeah.
The helicopter.
I'm glad you know his name because I just have been writing the doctor this whole time.
Dr. Martin, the resort marine biologist.
I also wrote down what was my other thing that I wrote down? I wrote down because I don't know if you recognized him. He was in X-Men Origins Wolverine and he was also in the Wolverine. So I've just been writing Dr. Logan like a whole bunch. I changed it in my notes.
Hey, really?
But I've been writing Dr. Logan this whole fucking time. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so she read a book by him, and so she was inspired to go and see him at this place.
Check out the reef.
And check out that fucking reef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which she does.
Yeah.
As a fish. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but she meets Dr. Martin, and then they go on a little scuba diving adventure.
Yeah. And
she transforms into a fish.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that I had about that is, I mean, I understand that when she turns into a fish, the color of the fish is the same color as her wetsuit.
Mm-hmm. Which I love the wetsuit, by the way. We both loved the wetsuit.
Yeah, I love the wetsuit. The wetsuit was great. All of the bikinis in this movie are great. Most of the outfits are great.
Except for the cameos.
No, I was gonna say Barnaby had my favorite outfit.
Which
we'll
one?
get to him. We'll get to him. Let's get through this.
Okay.
This
So when she's a CGI fish, was that supposed to be like a fish? Like, were we, the audience, supposed to be like, that's a normal fish, she turned into a normal fish? Or... I don't even know.
That scene hit me out of left field. Like, I had no idea that was gonna happen.
My favorite is that the setup for it is like the setup for it is that she blows that fucking bubble, the CGI bubble, and when that happened, I was like, "Oh, this movie's garbage." Yeah, I was not even, I wasn't even in the right mindset for what would happen next, which was she goes, "I wish I could stay here forever." Oh wait, I can, and then turns herself into a fucking CGI fish. Well, that's the thing, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
No, that's the thing with this movie is that she fucking like. I don't know how powerful she is. How powerful is Sabrina? Like, because it seems like her magic is limitless at times.
She is a god.
Right? Right?
She controls the storms.
She does.
She does. Okay.
That's how powerful she is.
Yeah.
But so I don't understand how magic works in that universe because at times she needs the book.
Yeah.
At other times she just thinks and it happens. Other times she has to read a spell. Or...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes she knows what she's doing. Some things she's done before. Give a merman legs. That's a really specific thing, and she needed a book for that.
Okay.
I know you're gonna try and poke holes in this movie, but there are none. Okay?
Well, I brought it up because the bubble. Like, if she can create a bubble to breathe in, why do they have scuba gear on to begin with? Like...
because they were stationary at that point in time. The bubble can't follow them.
Why don't they just turn into fish before they go in the water? Or I don't understand why they have to have the
She
scuba
didn't
gear.
think of that until she was underwater.
So she's a very powerful
yeah,
wizard,
incredibly powerful.
but she's just kind of dumb.
She's
Not as bad as Gwen.
She's growing up.
Gwen's very...
Okay. Did you think she was British?
I didn't know what she was.
I did.
You did? Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought she was Australian at first, but then the accent did not work.
So, she's Canadian in real life. So that actress is Tara Strong. If you don't know who Tara Strong has voiced
No idea.
every animated character that a person that grew up in the 90s grew up with. She voiced Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. She voiced fucking Phil from the Rugrats. She voiced fucking whatever brony character bronies care about. She voiced that dude. Dude, I don't think there are any guys in that. Maybe there are. Maybe they're asexual. I don't know what they are. But whatever. Like, she voiced all of them. She voiced fucking Batgirl from Batman the Animated Series. Sure. Like, she is in everything. And that's why I was like, you're not supposed to be a person? And I was like, and also, what was the fucking casting for that like? Because you're Canadian. Did you beat out British actors for this role? And then that's when I found out that it's just the fact that, like, she's played other characters in the series before. And so like, in the regular Sabrina show, she played a character one time, and so they're like, you can do a British accent, right? And so they had her be this character in Sabrina Goes to Rome, and then this character in Sabrina Down Under, which is the same thing with the mermaid.
Mermaid, yes.
Okay.
The red hair.
Red hair.
Yes.
Finn is her name. Real fucking
She's
clever
a
name
different
right
character
there.
in the show.
She's a different character in the
How
show.
fucked up is that?
And she also is the actress who played Big Red in the movie Bring It On, which is where I instantly recognized her, and I was like, I fucking love her. I love Big Red. And when she shows up later on at the end of the fucking movie, and you know, fucking Barnaby has been kidnapped. Barnaby is the mermaid. When Barnaby has been kidnapped, and Sabrina's like trying to figure out what to do, fucking Big Red shows up, and she's like, you fucking bitch! I thought you were fucking helping! And I was like, yo, of course Big Red would show up and fucking hear all the wrong shit, because Big Red's the fucking worst. It carries
It's
over
such a weird
movie
choice to bring her back as a different character.
Yeah.
If you read the Wikipedia page, the person who wrote it is also very confused. She's like, Sabrina does not seem to care or notice.
So there's the love story with the cat, which is honestly the best part of the entire movie, in my opinion.
Okay, let's talk about Salem real quick.
Okay.
Wait. I will point out, when Salem gets turned into a fish, he's a real fish, not a CGI fish.
And he's a catfish.
And it's a catfish.
That was
It's a catfish.
That was a funny joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, why was he a real
He
fish?
was real.
I have a question.
Okay.
How did he get to Australia?
He flew there.
How? I know he poses like on the phone as some rich guy.
Yeah.
But how does he physically get in the cage on the plane? Like how? Like I don't understand that part either.
He's magic. You understand that, correct?
He just poses as the rich guy's cat.
But does he
Yeah.
use magic ever?
Salem? Yeah.
When does he use magic in this movie? He never uses magic. He's just a
uses
cat.
phones and shit.
He uses
That-
phones and
with his
shit.
paws
He
because
can
he's a cat.
transport.
I thought he's a cat because he got in trouble.
Yeah.
And he can't use magic when he's like in the cat form.
He
Right? Because
he's
the girl,
basically damned to a cat's body for another 87 years.
as we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. I was just the first thing I noticed. I was just like, how did this cat get here?
Yeah.
But
And
whatever.
that's, you know,
I'll let it slide. This is one of the few things in this movie I'll let slide.
The ultimate irony is that he's there for his own vacation, trying to get away from those dumb women.
That was pretty funny. It was like,
And then when he sees her, he's like, God damn it.
What are
And
the
then
chances?
She puts the merman in his bathtub, and he's like, you fucking bitch. So one of the obvious parallels that you can make for this movie is that it's a lot like the movie Splash, if you remember the movie Splash. You know, and a lot of fuck. All right, it's fine.
is that a mermaid movie?
It's a mermaid movie.
I remember there was that a Disney movie?
No,
because
it was
wasn't
a real
there
movie in
wasn't there a
theaters.
Disney
13th
Channel?
year is a Disney Channel mermaid movie.
I like that
Fantastic
one.
one.
We should have we should have done both of those.
Yeah, I mean it's on my list.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
But in the movie Splash, you know, they're dealing with a lot of the same problems with what happens when a mer person becomes a human, and that was, you know,
A leg walker.
a leg walker. And one of my instant, you know, things was, so everyone has an Australian accent except for Sabrina, who's English, and her friend Gwen, who is supposedly British. And I was like, okay, so these merfolk are obviously, you know, although they're from Australia, they live underwater, so whatever version of English they have somehow picked up shouldn't sound like Australian. And so his accent is,
Australian.
I have no idea what it is. It sounds just really weird,
I think.
you know?
And his sister, does his sister have an accent?
No, she's just a regular American.
His was like base Australian. Weird.
His was like
Like inland, like Australia. Like in this.
that was so the first time that they meet in Australian, they meet Jerome, who is Gwen's love interest for the film. When she meets him on the beach the first time, he says a whole bunch of quote unquote Australian stuff that they don't understand, and I translated all of it. Okay,
We had trouble.
I went online and I translated all of it, and a lot of it is just made up. A lot of it is hybrids with Cockney slang, which they don't speak in Australia. They're fucking Australian. Why would they speak Cockney slang? But yeah, and so it's just like, I don't know, the screenwriters were like, either one, they just didn't give a fuck, or two, they were just like, this is hard. I at least know some Cockney slang because we just did Sabrina Goes to Rome. You know?
It's that one. That one.
It's that one. But yeah, it fuck. So basically, Dr. Martin is the one that, you know, Sabrina meets him on the beach, and she's really excited to meet him, and he's being a total fucking dick until he realizes that she cares about marine biology, and then once he realizes that, he's like, hey, you're pretty cool, and then, you know, he's talking to her about how all these fucking people are dumping all this shit in the water, and I'm fucking am real best, and he's mad about it.
Practicing?
I've been practicing, man, the whole
train here.
whole train here. And so he's mad because they've been dumping stuff in the water, and it's infecting these fish, and the fish are gonna die. And so he's come up with this little thing that can help cure them. But he's like, this ointment can cure them, but we just need to get the fish in time. And so that's when Sabrina meets the merman, that she realizes that he has this weird gunk on his shoulder, and she's like, oh shit, that's what the fish has. And so she decides that she wants to help him, and the only way she can do that is if she turns him into a man.
I was just thinking about that scene where they... Well, so Gwen spots him in the water, right, when they're scuba diving, and she doesn't know he's a merman.
Yeah.
And then they find him on the beach.
Yeah.
Just laying in the sand, unconscious.
Yeah.
And I think Gwen shouts, "Is that a dolphin?" And it's like, it's very clearly a man laying there. Yeah, he might have, like, you know, some weird pants on, but it's just the funniest thing, like, that she thought it was a dolphin.
Yeah.
Well, then they take him to hide him in the hotel room, and they cover him up, but they cover the human part, not the fish legs part.
Well, I was thinking about that. Well, maybe in their minds they were like, well, we're just we're pushing a big fish to the kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As opposed to carrying a human.
Either way, I think it's trouble.
Was there a joke where I think they were like, you put a hot dog on a string, like that's how they caught it. I think there was a joke like that. I'm being like,
I think you're right.
Serious,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, they take this merman to, like, back to their room, right?
Yeah.
They do.
Or they take him to the Salem's room because he has the biggest bathtub because he is the huge.
Do they teleport
suite.
him there?
No, but they do that. They do that multiple times.
Which that's another plot hole. That's a whole another plot hole.
How's that plot hole?
Well, I was wondering,
why wouldn't you do it every time?
Why didn't she teleport to Australia? Because in the helicopter in the intro,
because you have to see normal sometimes.
She's like, man, I've been on that plane for 22 hours.
Also, because you had to have that sick establishing shot of her in a helicopter, and so that the guy could be like, "Oh, is it your first time in Australia?" And you could be like, "Oh, so she's going to Australia. That's what Down Under means." and then she can go, "Nope, never been Down Under before, but quote, everything is surprisingly right side up." And the Australian guy's just like, "You fucking bitch." And then she looks out on the water and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful." And then you see the merman, and that's when, you know, the tone is set. We know what the goal is. We know what the focal point of the film is in that first 2 minutes, you know. And she's like, "I think I see something." And then the pilot responds, "Oh, the reef is always playing tricks on people." What the fuck are you talking about?
I have no idea.
The Riff is always playing tricks on people?
Like it's the Bermuda Triangle.
Like it's a fucking Bermuda Triangle? It's a reef!
Well, not anymore, but...
It was.
I think it is red, so like 90% of that reef is gone.
Really?
Like, or I think like the top half of it is completely bleached and without life or something. So really, this movie's a nice little time capsule of the Great Barrier Reef.
Thanks, Sabrina.
That's... it's that fucking hurricane she summoned. Wiped it the fuck out.
Sucked in all the pollution.
So she decides that she's gonna help the mer people, and she gets a whole bunch of the serum. I'm gonna call it the serum. Fuck it, who cares? The elixir, as Joseph Campbell would call it. So she gets the elixir and she takes it and she brings it to the mer people, and they're like, "Leg walker, human!"
And they all
fucking bail. And Big Red is the only one that stays because she's sick and she's dying, and she's like, "I don't want any of your handouts." And then she's like, "Come on, Big Red, you were in Bring It On." And she's like, "All right, I'll take some." And she rubs it on her, and unfortunately she has a tracking device inside of her bag
because of Dr. Martin.
And whenever it's not in the bag, it's loud as fuck. It's so loud.
Yeah, he zips it up and it's completely silent.
It just dies. And then when Sabrina opens the bag, you hear the loudest fucking beeping again. It's like, you fucking idiot. Anyway,
her transportation method for getting to the mer people was amazing. She rides the dolphin.
What was his name?
The dolphin?
Oh yeah, what was the dolphin's name?
I don't remember.
Spout?
It's something with an S, you're right. Spunk?
Probably not that one.
It was just it was fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, so she rides the dolphin there. But so once Dr. Martin has the coordinates for it, that's when he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go and find these fucking mermaids. And so
He doesn't know yet, does he?
oh, he knows
Yeah, there's a
because
picture.
there's the picture of the
yeah,
mermaid,
yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like, that mermaid seems to have the exact same thing on his shoulder as that friend Sabrina brought in earlier. Oi. and so he wants those mermaids, and so he decides to depart and take a large vessel to go kidnap all the mermaids, and that's when
He chartered a fishing boat.
he chartered a fishing
like a Deadliest Catch style fishing boat.
So he's getting the boat ready, and this is the second CGI sequence, which is, I thought they blew their budget on the fish. But then she summons a storm to stop the fishing boat, okay? And everyone's like, yeah, Sabrina, it's working. They're turning around. Boom! She gets hit by fucking lightning, and I was like, yes! I watched that part like 5 times because when she gets hit by lightning, she goes spiraling out of control. And she just goes fucking flying, and the CGI her flipping just looks amazing. And when she gets hit by lightning, Barnaby the mermaid goes, "It's Sabrina. I think she's been hurt."
Dude, can
like-
we
it's
talk
like,
about
yes,
Barnaby?
of course she has. All right, yeah, talk about Barnaby, dude.
Dude, like... So after they turn him into a human, the outfit they pick out for him is like
The capris.
the most amazing thing. I mean, blue camo capris, like a little sailor's hat, and like the tightest shirt
I was
they could
about
find.
to say he looks fucking
I
shredded.
thought maybe that it was Sabrina's clothes.
that that surprised me at all. Yeah, I could see that.
And there's that montage of them like going around town, and he's like, "What are pockets?" and
and him trying to walk, and he's walking all fucking bow-legged and shit, and yeah, and then he's like, what are these? And he pulls them out all mad and shit, because he's like, what are you, these fake fins? Is that what these are, you bitches? And they're like, they're pockets. Well, what do you do with them? You put stuff in them. And then he just starts grabbing trash and shoving it in his pockets, and he's like, yeah. But it was great.
he's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
But going back to right after the storm,
Yeah.
so she summons a storm. I think Gwen teleports them back to the hotel room.
Yep.
She's recovering. Sabrina loses her powers for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Barnaby gets in a truck.
Yeah.
And so we had a hard time figuring out what he was doing or where he was going. Why did he get in the truck with Salem? Remember Salem and him were in the truck, and then he transformed into a merman again.
Yeah.
While he's driving.
So Barnaby is actually going to go help his sister, who is now in grave danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
And so
that's his goal.
He's like, I'm gonna go and help her.
So he gets in a vehicle,
Yeah.
which he thinks is an animal.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the weirdest. I'll tame this beast. And Salem's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, just like start it. Like, and then while he's driving, he transforms. His legs turn into a big fin.
Yeah.
And he ends up driving right into Dr. Martin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he falls out of the car.
Yeah.
Unconscious, and he's like,
And he
Dr.
has a
Martin's
giant
like,
fin.
perfect.
Yeah. Dr. Martin's like,
He doesn't even have to.
"Ka-ching."
He doesn't even have to go to the colony. He has the fucking
Yeah.
mermaid right there.
He has a merman. He's set. Yeah. And so that brings you to the final sequence of the movie, which is Dr. Martin now has a merman. He's keeping it in the pool, and
At the resort.
He alerts at the resort. He alerts all of the news people to come and see his merman. Sabrina wakes up from her little nap, and she goes to find Dr. Martin, and she's like, "What's your fucking deal? I can't believe you're doing this." And then she gets the assistance of Salem and his beautiful cat bride, and he's like, fucking, I'm gonna do this, Sabrina. Don't be a bitch. Like, I've been living this life on this shitty island in this shitty resort, and no one's gonna remember my name. And she's like, but you wrote all these books about these beautiful creatures. And he's like, you think I fucking care? No one knows who I am. And so when that happens, she decides to break him out, and they succeed. They break him out, and they shove him out into the water
very easily.
They shove that. Well, yeah, they do it super easily, and then they shove that cart into the fucking edge of the dock, and he just goes flying. He's like, very graceful. He goes flying into the water.
I don't think anyone knows how to dive in this movie, because there's another scene where I think, is it Gwen or no? It was Barnaby's sister. After she's healed with the ointment, instead of diving gracefully into the water, she just kind of belly flops in.
It just wriggles around.
All right, go on.
But so they get him. He goes into the water, but then there's a dun dun dun, and then they're like, "Well, we have a fucking boat, and we're gonna get him." And so they trap him, and it's at that moment where Sabrina is talking about what they're gonna do. Big Red shows up, and she's like, "You fucking bitch! I knew you were gonna double cross me." It's like, they're trying to fix it. Let her fix it. And so Sabrina takes another dolphin ride over to the fucking boat. Gwen transports herself. When she does it, she appears like 9 feet in the air and then falls straight in the water, but only after hanging in the air for like 45 seconds. She's like, ooh, what's going on? I'm floating.
Fucking hate Gwen.
She just fucking slams into the ground. And so then Sabrina ends up on the boat, and she grabs Dr. Martin's knife
To try to cut the
she's
net.
trying to cut the thing, and he gets it away from her. And that's when the fish that Dr. Martin cares about, this stupid fish that's been extinct for 50 years, Sabrina gets it, and she puts it in a bucket, and she, and this is why I wrote this down, because of the fact that it's on the other page. It's so long, it made me so mad, is that she has the fish in the bucket, and Dr. Martin's like, this is the greatest discovery that man has ever had. And Sabrina goes, yeah, well, I got this fish, and I'm gonna show it to the world. And Dr. Martin's like, who fucking cares? You know? And it's just like, legit, who fucking cares about that stupid fish that's been extinct for
It's
fucking
the size
50
of
years?
a quarter, too.
It's this tiny fucking fish, and then Sabrina says to him when he's like, I'm gonna reveal this fish to the world. Sabrina says, by the way, how does it feel to be on the other side? Which is the moment where he's supposed to be like, now I've become what I've always hated. Now I'm no worse than any other piece of shit that's manipulative. And it works! Mm-hmm. That moment, he's like, you're right. And then he goes off and he looks off into space and he reflects on his actions. And that just made me so mad because, one, what was Sabrina thinking with that dumb little fish? Like, who
That was a
cares?
terrible plan.
Like, you're really gonna have a standoff, and you're like, you have the single greatest scientific discovery of all time. I have a fish that we knew existed, but no one's seen it in 50 years. Those two things are not tradable. It's not like he's gonna be like, oh, that fish? Yeah, I'll trade a merman for that. Fucking idiot.
But he does.
And then that was another one of my notes is so then Big Red is trying to get Barnaby out of the net, and I was like, how is Big Red having such trouble with this net when her outfit is 90% that exact kind of net? If you look at the outfit that she's wearing, it's all made of that material.
You brought up the point, Tommy, that they could have just went under.
Underneath it.
Yeah. It's
Not
not
bolted to the sea floor.
Yeah, they just it's
Or use some more CGI and have a Big Willie sequence where he fucking launches
that would
over.
have been cool too.
They're
And
not
that-
very good at swimming, though. For mer people.
For mer people, they are super shitty at swimming. And so that was, I told you that this movie's amazing.
Yeah,
And
you did.
I did say that there's one problem with it. The only problem, which is the fact that the endings, man, they're tough. But in terms of the way they structured it and everything, like they did a really good job with like the A and B story. You know, you have the love interest with the cat, and
Did they pull it off? Because I didn't think it gelled at all with the movie.
They carried the movie.
Agreed with Tommy. It fucking did carry this movie.
Okay. I mean,
But so the one thing is that it's the only way that this movie could have been as long as it was. Because
so
if
true.
it didn't have that love story between Salem and that lady cat,
God, there were so many fade outs into those.
It would not have been as long as it was, which is a huge problem with made-for-TV movies. These people write a 40-minute movie and then they're like
they're writing an episode.
Let's have also some swimming for a while. But there was the good A and B plot structure. They're going back and forth between the two, and they even have the people dumping the chemicals into the water in the background of Salem's photograph. Okay. Yeah. And so they tied plot points into it, and I was like,
dude, I want that photograph on my wall. Like, that's a dope photograph.
That is a dope photograph.
It's the white cat's head, and then there's like beautiful vista with like the tanker in the background. Because Salem has this little tiny like cat camera.
Those fucking animatronic cats are so good.
So fucking ugly.
And I loved how they have all these sequences where they switch back and forth between an animatronic and a real cat, and it was just like, why bother?
Yeah, why'd they get it? I guess
like every sequence where it's like a cat running around, it's a real cat, and then they switch to this monstrosity.
It's nothing like it. Like
it looks nothing like a cat.
Oh my god.
And like.
Oh man, that really got you.
The very beginning, when they first established Salem, when they first show him, he's talking a whole bunch, but it's the real cat.
It's the real cat, yeah.
His mouth doesn't move, and I was just like, oh no, what did they do to Salem? And I got worried, and then there's just a quick cut, and it's a fucking robot cat, and I was like, fuck yes, yes, yes. I was so glad.
I was worried. I would have turned it off.
Well, to be fair, you're about to turn it off anyway. But he grew on you.
But yeah, I loved this movie.
I think one of the most realistic parts was how sunburned Sabrina gets very early on in the movie.
2 minutes into the movie, she's red.
Yeah. My only thing that I didn't cover is when Sabrina and Gwen meet Jerome for the first time, and he says a whole bunch of stuff and they don't understand, and Gwen's like, it doesn't matter that I don't understand because he's real cute, and then Sabrina says he's got dimples the size of coconuts. And I had to rewind it because, like, this is me at work watching Sabrina Down Under, and I'm watching it, and I was like, did she just say he has nipples the size of coconuts? And I was like, what the fuck? And I rewound it, and I still didn't get it. And I rewound it again, and I was like, oh, he has dimples the size of coconuts.
Which doesn't make
I was like, I don't know if that's better.
It may be worse.
It might be worse.
Wait, he's the guy who is in the wig and mermaid outfit the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the one that at the
dance.
talent night plays a little song where he says that he's a mermaid, and it confuses Barnaby, and he thinks he's actually a mermaid.
Poor Barnaby.
Yikes.
What?
They had to become friends with the one slow mermaid.
Do they breathe underwater? Or only above water?
Yeah, I had that question too. Because it isn't like their top half is human.
Yeah, and they don't have gills or anything.
They have lungs.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like a whale. They just hold their breath for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah.
These are the questions I have. How do they reproduce?
Well, they probably have fish genitalia.
What does that look like?
Tubes.
It's a series of tubes.
But yeah, I mean, that's it for me. You guys good?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much for this pick, Max.
And I suggest it. I straight up suggest this movie.
I do too. It's
10 out of 10.
It's a
That's
watch.
awesome.
I think with age it'll even be more special because of the Great Barrier Reef and how it's going to be completely dead probably the next 10 years. I think
Yeah.
this is going to be one of the movies people go back to and say, hey, wow, like this is what it looked like. Minus the mermaids.
This is the quintessential depiction of the Great Barrier Reef.
And like the culture in that part of Australia. Oi. Next week we're doing Hysteria, a Def Leppard story.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.